Today we're going to talk about the differences between Mexico, where we are right now, Malaysia, and Philippines, where we just came from. And we look forward to showing you where we are in Mexico as we do that. Right now we're in Puerto Escondido, Mexico. So Mexico, Malaysia, or the Philippines, which one do you think has better beaches?
I don't know. Because all the country have their better beaches, so.
Yeah, they all three are probably in the top beaches of the world. So that's a tough call.
Yeah, and Mexico is bigger, so they have more beautiful beaches around, for my opinion.
Yeah, Mexico's a very large country. It has east and west. You have the white sand beaches on the Caribbean, and you have the Pacific Coast beaches that are darker but have big, beautiful waves, like where we are here in 𝐶𝐾𝐻.
Yes.
The Philippines have a lot of beaches just because there's 7,000 islands, and so each island has a full way around, but it's not all beaches.
Yeah, it's not all the beaches, and so plus the beaches is maybe you need to take a boat to go there, and then spend the day and come back. It's different thing. It depends on what you want. You want to live on the beach, beautiful beach, you know, walk, no people, no crowd, you know, just you and local people. And
then Malaysia, they have, you know, Sabah, which Semporna, and has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, and diving, but it's kind of out of the way. There's no real, I mean, it's not the best places to live, not a lot of food choices.
No, a lot of food choices, about best place to live.
Yeah, but then in terms of beaches, you also have like Langkawi, and then you have the Perhentian Islands. So Malaysia does have some choices, but I would say overall, Mexico wins the beach life choice.
Yeah, Mexico wins because Malaysia beach is only good for visits. It's not good for retire over there or live over there.
Yeah, because there's not enough infrastructure near the beach, and most of the beach choices in Malaysia.
Yes.
If you're a beach person. So what about infrastructure? Like highways, airports, streets, Malaysia, Mexico, or the Philippines?
Definitely Malaysia.
Yeah.
It have more highway. Plus Malaysia is a small country. You know, plus Malaysia is a small country.
Small country. It's a very developed country. It's one of the most developed countries in Southeast Asia. I would say last is the Philippines. Yes. The infrastructure there is suffering. And then Mexico, I would say, is closer to the Philippines than it is, closer to Malaysia than it is the Philippines. And we've been all over Mexico.
So who win the language game?
I would say Malaysia.
And then second is Philippines.
Second is Philippines. You might put Philippines first. Depends what part of Malaysia you're in, or what part of the Philippines you're in, really, right? Because in smaller villages, people don't necessarily speak much English.
Yes.
So, but definitely Mexico is more challenging, you know, speaking Spanish. So.
Definitely, you have to speak Spanish.
If you're only an English speaker, it's more challenging. I've been coming to Mexico since, you know, for 30 years, 40 years.
But you know, the good thing is you have Google Translate.
Yeah, you have Google Translate. And I only know like transactional Spanish, so very few, but I have a great time here.
Yeah, sure.
This is Dan of Vagabond Awake. Please like this video, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. We'd sure appreciate it. Thanks so much. Cost of living. Of course, we do cost of living reports for each city within these countries that we visited and recommend retiring cheap. But in general, what would you say, which city or what country would you say overall is cheaper to live in? Mexico, Malaysia, or the Philippines?
I think Philippines is very cheap.
Philippines?
Yeah, Philippines, the cost of living in Philippines cheaper than Malaysia.
Yeah, cheaper than Malaysia.
Because have less thing to buy, that's why cheap.
Right. You mean are you saying the selection in the stores isn't as good? Is that?
Yeah. That's true.
It is true.
You're just buying the simple thing like your fruits, your vegetable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not much.
And we were in the provinces or smaller cities. We weren't in Manila or Cebu, so and that's generally true. Though you're right, in those smaller cities. The other thing I would say maybe is that it's also true in Mexico. If you go to a really small village, you can get your costs down quite a bit. But most of the places that people retire in Mexico, I would say that's true. Philippines the cheapest. Now, what about between Mexico and Malaysia? Which one would you say is cheaper?
Oh, because you know most of people retire in Malaysia is only KL or Penang. They don't retire in other small town.
Right, right.
Yeah, so cost of living between here and Malaysia, I think is almost the same.
Almost the same.
Just I prefer Mexico because Mexico have more naturals that you can live like right now. We're in Puerto Escondido.
Yeah.
You can live at here, have nice beaches, but
Yeah.
Malaysia is not.
Yeah, you can live in a nice city that has a nice beach, and that's harder to do in Malaysia. The other thing is that Mexico has more terrain. You have like these colonial era cities up in the mountains,
Yes.
Which are very high, over a mile high. So it's cool in the summer.
Yes.
And Malaysia's more at sea level overall.
Yes.
So what about food?
Food.
Food.
Malaysia.
Malaysia.
We have Chinese, Indian, Malay food and Thai food as a local food, so you can get it anywhere.
Yeah.
$1 and 24-hour.
And it's cheap and
restaurant.
it's healthy. Healthy.
Healthy? Not really healthy.
It's pretty healthy compared to
Yes.
like the Philippines food.
Oh yes.
I mean, they have a few nice things, but I would say overall, I mean, how many Philippine restaurants do you know around the world when you go to major cities? It's not a big exported food, and it wasn't my favorite for sure.
I think it's good for you because you was in Malaysia, because it's easier for you to find a vegetarian food. You can have Chinese vegetarian, Thai vegetarian, Malay vegetarian, Indian vegetarian.
Yeah. But you're big into fish, maybe you know, Philippines are okay for you.
Yes.
But Mexico, what do you think?
Mexico?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't eaten so much yet.
It's
But
delicious. The problem though is it's all carbos.
Yeah, it's
I put
all
on so much weight when I'm here.
taco, tortilla, you know.
Yeah, a lot of fried stuff. It's you grow up in California, it's been like some of my favorite food, but Malaysia wins the food.
I'm so sorry. I'm
She's from Malaysian.
I know you would say that. So we in the Playa Manzanillo,
Yeah, Playa Manzanillo.
and I have chelada, you have coconut, and the guacamole is very nice.
Guacamole and coconut. That's the meaning of life, in case you don't know.
Whew. So good.
So what about safety? Which one's safest?
What do you think? Safety.
Well, it's Malaysia is the safest. Malaysia is, I think, statistically, and it's one of the safest countries in Southeast Asia. So, the hard one is picking between Mexico. I guess the Philippines would be second because they don't have the drug traffic at the borders and stuff. And then Mexico would be third in terms of safety, but that's kind of in some ways it's deceiving about Mexico, because in a lot of the tourist areas there isn't necessarily
They are safe. If you talk about the overall, if you take whole country to be healthy, then Malaysia will be first, definitely, and then the second is Philippines, and then Mexico. That is what normal people think. But if you pick a spot to say, then it's hard to compare. Malaysia also have crime, like broken, mostly.
So in other words, you have to drill down into which city and that, or
Yes.
what part of that city and that country you want to stay in.
So overall, I would say everything in all these countries is safe. Just you need to make a research about that, where you want to stay. That's all.
And we've lived all over Mexico. We live all over Malaysia and most of, or some of the Philippines, so we're not just making stuff up. We've experienced it. The sand's really hot. It's a GoPro, but we have the audio adapter on there, so it's not waterproof. Unless you go swimming, we'll put the cover on. Nice and cooling, as you would say.
Let me hold it there, you can jump. So what about dating?
What about dating? Well, I've done a whole video on that actually, and I would pick Malaysia for dating, number one. Number two, I would pick the Philippines, and number three, I would pick Mexico. And I'll put a link below so you can go watch that video if you want. So what about dating as a woman? Where would you rank them?
I'm not ranking that. It's like, if you want to get fun, I think Mexico is a place that you can get fun. And so if you want to have some boy to taking care of you, then Philippines will be your choice. No, it's cheap, you have money, you have someone taking care of you, young, strong boy. It's like people go to, like like some women, they go to Bali to find a young boy as a boyfriend.
Okay.
Yeah, and Malaysia is in the middle, which is you want to find someone to be like can talk and share. I think I'm not really know about Malaysia what they choose. Not much people go to Malaysia for dating.
No.
As a woman, I mean, as a that's mature like me women, or you want the elders women? They prefer Philippines, and Mexico is most for fun.
Okay.
So what about visa?
What about visa? I think Philippines wins the visa. You can stay there 36 months. It's like $30 a month. You just go once every 6 months and pay 6 months worth. So it's hard to beat that. Probably second would be Mexico, because you get 6 months. They stamp you with 180 days when you arrive, and so Malaysia would be third with 90 days.
So what about medical?
So which country would I pick for my medical? I've already picked it. I've been using Thailand for medical for the last, since about 2010. Since I left India in 2010, I've been doing my regular checkups in Thailand, because it's great healthcare and it's relatively cheap, although it's getting a little more expensive now.
It's more expensive now.
But I don't think that it's better than Malaysia. I think Malaysia also has very good healthcare, and the Philippines, I don't really know enough about it yet. From what I hear, they have really great hospitals only in the big cities, and if you're in the provinces, it can be difficult.
I think it's same in all the countries.
True.
Yes.
And then Mexico, I've read that it's becoming a tourist place where people actually come to Mexico for certain medical procedures.
Seems like Malaysia is one of is top ones in Southeast Asia for the medical tourists on 2019.
Yeah.
People go to Malaysia for medical purpose.
Yeah, so in terms of all three, if you're in the right place in the right time, you're going to be able to get really good health care. But for everyday life, I don't know, I probably, I would suspect that maybe Malaysia might be better for healthcare. So Malaysia first, Mexico second, Philippines third.
So if you have 3 years, you have to stay in one place. So in these 3 countries, which one you will choose? Mexico, Malaysia, and Philippines.
That's hard. Mexico, Malaysia, or Philippines, and I have to stay there 3 years. And for those of you who don't know, as we travel the world all the time, and so we like that freedom.
We've been traveling the world about since 2017.
Yeah, we've been traveling the world since 2017, and I've been doing it since 2007, so before I met Chung. And so that's difficult, but I would probably do, we're assuming you can move in whatever country, right? We're assuming it's not COVID.
You mean that you will choose the base country for 3 years?
And I can move in that country, you're saying. Okay, if I can move in the country, since I haven't fully explored the Philippines, I would explore them. Not only are they fascinating, beautifully diverse, but there's so much going on there, and 7,000 islands. I don't think I would get bored in 3 years. And I've been all over Mexico, and I've been all over Malaysia, so I think I would pick Philippines. How about you?
Well, if Malaysia is my country, so I have to take up Malaysia.
Okay.
So it's Philippines and Mexico,
right,
for 3 years. If I don't want to worry about visa, Philippines is my choice.
Okay.
That because you can stay there up to 3 years.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for watching our video. Click the link in the notes below this video to get a copy of this content. Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 Years. While you're there, check out our catalog of retired cheap reports all over the world and our hobby income course that we just released. Thanks so much.